Oxford from the inside. The good, the bad, but always the truth.
Hey guys, welcome to Oxford from the Inside, the good, the bad, but always the truth. Today we're here with Ella. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Ella. I'm a third year mathematician at Trinity College.
Nice. And today we're going to be talking about writing a personal statement for maths. So Ella, what advice do you have for those students, prospective students wanting to write a personal statement for maths?
My first piece of advice would be to be enthusiastic about maths. You're applying for a degree that is intense, whichever uni you're applying to. It's all maths all the time. So, bring across that this is your passion. I don't know how honest I'm allowed to be in these podcasts, but I would say even if you're studying maths because you're really good at it and maybe it's not what you're going to do for the rest of your life, still put as much passion in it as you can. Because, worst case scenario, you get in and you decide actually it's not for me. That's fine, but don't lower your chances by, writing. I'm kind of good at this. My teachers say I should study it, so this is why I'm here. I'm not being sarcastic. I've seen those kinds of personal statements before. Be enthusiastic about it. Most of the personal statement should be kind of explaining why you love it, listing your achievements. If you have none, completely fine. Not every school pushes people into Olympiads and makes you do, I don't know, weird competitions and gives out special prizes. Just write that you really enjoy it. This is what you want to do. The third point would be to write persuasively. Write well. Have it be nice to read. Just if you have your mum read over it and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's lovely. That's great, genuinely, because you have these tutors, and I think at Trinity, two of them read it all before they even have your mat score, and they just sit down and have a pile of every applicant, and they just read through all the personal statements in one go. And what's going to stand out is either if it's written really well or if it's just written really poorly. So, make the sentences flow, make it pretty. You can find loads of examples online. Sometimes you can even find them with the universities those people got accepted to in the end. That's really helpful. Can I name websites in this, where you can find good examples?
Yeah. We'll add them to the caption afterwards. So I mean, there'll be links that will be below as we speak. So
there's a website called personalstatement-examples.com. It's got really, really great examples by subject, so recommend it to your friends. And with some really good applicants. So people who got into, Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial, UCL, King's, etc. Obviously, don't plagiarize. I don't know if everyone gets this talk at school or by UCAS, but they do put it through a checker that they use for every kind of submitted piece of university work that you might submit, like coursework at uni or PhDs or things like that. So if you plagiarize, they will 100% know. Don't do that. Don't print out or email your friends statements or something if you think there's a risk of that, because you'll be seen as complicit, etc. Not to scare anyone, but good information to have. A fourth point would be that for Oxbridge, they don't care about your hobbies. As in, of course, once you get there, they care about your hobbies, they care about you as a person. But whether or not they accept you for a degree where you'll be doing maths and they want you to do well in it does not depend on whether you're in choir, you play a lot of football, you set up this charity, etc., etc. Those are amazing things to do, but they're not relevant to your application. So you might want to have a few sentences at the end, but not more than that. I recognize that's difficult to balance with applications to other universities, especially Scottish ones like Edinburgh will want you to write a lot about yourself. So it's kind of a choice you have to make depending on, where your priorities lie. And it doesn't exclude you from getting into Oxbridge, of course, but that's the preferred style. And the last point would be don't stress. When I walked into one of my interviews, the tutor was just starting to read my personal statement, they hadn't looked at it yet. I have seen someone get, there are people who've gotten in with quite horrendous personal statements, which because if you get here, you have initiations where they get read out as a joke. So you get to know everyone else's. I think, in fact, someone got into medicine starting with the phrase, he started his personal statement saying, "My love of medicine has never not been in doubt." So it's okay. It's okay. Don't stress about it, but obviously a good one can help you. Yeah, so that's the end of my monologue. Do you have questions, Siam?
Wow, I just feel like I have questions about the statement of one's love can never be in doubt, but I think that's a bit off topic.
That's not a question for me, sadly. I wish I had done that.
That
Would
is
be
what one question I had, because Oxford is quite known for its joint honours with maths. There's like, from what I've heard, like maths and physics, maths and philosophy, maths and stats. And say you have a student who's applying for joint honours like maths and stats or maths and philosophy instead of straight maths, how would you advise them to structure their personal statement for that situation?
That's a difficult one. I'm actually very unqualified to tell you that because I did not apply for maths and philosophy or maths and stats. Yeah, I mean, of course, as a disclaimer to all of this, I'm someone who's gone through the process and talked to the tutors about it. I'm not someone who is, qualified to give you any real, official advice from Oxford. I would imagine you split it 50-50, to be honest, or say why you love the link between the two. Yeah, there's actually no maths and physics course though. There's a 4th year maths phys that you can switch onto the maths or physics degree.
Okay. Yes. I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree. Definitely, yeah. Looking online, seeing what advice there is, maybe on the Oxford website, but if 50-50 or if one can, 50-50 or one statement where flowing between the two, if they're linked, if you can use describing how they're linked, does tend to be the way forward for joint honours. And yes, the other important thing is that there is no maths and physics course. So if you want to do maths physics joint honours, that seems like it's not possible until your 4th year through the maths. Okay, the other question is, the Oxford personal statements don't really like extracurriculars, as you said. They like the supercurriculars where talking about things that you've done or have been doing that are related to your degree, like potential reading around the subject, or what kind of maths topics / readings are accessible for year 12 students who will be writing their personal statements that could be potentially useful to add in their personal statements that aren't readings that are just really far beyond and difficult for them to read? Like, are there any like good ones that are like perfect for when you're an 18-year-old mathematician?
So one thing I would say is that books aren't necessary at all in maths personal statements, because either they're going to be popular literature, in which case it has added no value in terms of like how prepared you are for a degree, or they are textbooks, or a little bit like quite challenging, which is great if you've done it and you can name those. So if you want to have like an introduction to linear algebra, literally Google that and find yourself an introduction to linear algebra. You've done that, great thing to write. If you really love Fourier series, like a course mate of mine is, it's his favorite thing in the world. He was so excited when we did that in second term. Like, write that in, say that's something you studied and you really enjoyed it. Things like that. But don't Numberland and write that down as your inspiration in terms of going into maths. I had no books in my personal statement, I don't think. Yeah, that was never mentioned as an issue. One thing I really like is if you can find it in a library, because it's like very big and quite expensive. Wouldn't recommend carrying it home in a backpack. Princeton's Encyclopedia of Mathematics, I think it's called. I should have Googled this. You can Google that. I think it's Princeton's. It has a little introduction to loads of different areas of maths. So it's like 2 or 3 paragraphs trying to explain in layman's terms like what these different areas are. And it goes really far into areas that you might really not have heard of at all. I know loads of them I still haven't heard of now, and I've been doing this for 2 years. That's really interesting, just in terms of like, you can see what you might be interested in and where you might want to go next. So that's a cool one to like look at. I don't know, I'm sure if you mentioned like, I really enjoyed reading through some of those, like this field sounds really exciting, that would work as well. Yeah, I guess I don't have textbook recommendations. I did differential equations for dummies, which sounds like it's going to be really basic. It is actually like probably 2 modules of the undergrad for DEs. But that was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. So the For Dummies books can be good. Yeah.
Nice. That is really helpful. That is really useful, especially the encyclopedia sounds interesting as well. Continuing with what kind of things you had in your personal statement, what other than the D's, what other kind of things did you have in your maths personal statement, if you can remember?
Okay, I waxed lyrical about how amazing maths is for a bit at the start. I talked about a problem I did when I was a bit younger. My teacher got annoyed with me, like asking me for work, so he gave me just like some random question he had on his desk. I don't know who it was for originally. I think it might have been from a stat paper. Not sure. Anyway, it was a cool question. At the time, I thought it was really fun. It was about, you have a circular tower and you've got a goat tied to the tower at the top of it, and the tower is like radius 1 centered at the origin, and you've got and the goat is tied by a rope that is length pi, and you have to find the area that the goat can trace out, the area of grass it can reach, which is deceptively difficult. It took me ages. I had to get hints and things. But I really like that question. I actually wrote like, I tried this question when I was 14 and I found it really, really cool. And, it took me, and in exploring this question, I had to learn about these following topics. And they were basic topics by the point I was writing the statement, because, at that point it was like, I had to do integration by substitution or something. And that was a big deal for me then. And at the time I was writing it was fine. But still, things like that kind of explained why I want to study this, how I got there. That was quite cheesy. That was something I was made fun of for in initiations. But still, I'm here. It's fine.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had 2 or 3 sentences at the end about my hobbies. Yeah, mostly it was just declaring how much I love math.
Damn, nice. We'd love to hear it. I don't think I had any extracurriculars on mine. I did, and then I got rid of them for more space about the chemistry. And it worked out for me. I got all my offers, if that relieves anyone of any stress. The other thing that I wanted to ask that is slipping away from my mind is so one thing that was quite interesting that you were saying was would you also recommend like students going through like step 1, step 2 papers as potential thing, or maybe the step 1 papers as a potential thing that they could write about that they've been enjoying in their personal statements?
Yeah, I think step papers in general are a great prep for uni. Like wherever you end up going, it's a really, really good thing to practice, and you get a lot better at maths in general. If you find a really cool question, go for it, write about it. I'm sure you could say like, I've really been enjoying step papers. Yeah, that sounds like something good. I mean, yeah, to be honest, like there's loads of advice. This is kind of the advice that I've gathered over like me writing 20 different drafts of it and asking every available teacher, and then like asking my tutors how it went and asking or helping people write theirs. But the like number 1 piece of advice really is don't stress, because you're much more likely to get excluded from interview if you have a bad map than you are if you have a bad statement. Much more likely. Yeah, don't stress about that. It's more important that you get at maths than that you write a good statement. But
yeah, I think don't stress now. The stress will come later. Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the topic of a different video. We don't need to depress people now. It's unnecessary.
And if you do the math, it will be easier than the step, from what I hear. So that's always a plus.
Oh my God, yes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I think I chose Oxford because I didn't have to do step.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed practicing step, but the stress of doing them during your A levels and the stress of knowing that loads of people fail them is like, I didn't need that in my life. So
I think quite a few people take the option, and the undergrad courses are quite similar in both Oxford and Cambridge. But if you want to know more about that, we have an episode on differences between maths at Oxford and Cambridge earlier early in the series. Is good. It's very interesting. There are some differences that are quite niche that you would only know about if you listen to the podcast. But back to the
Okay.
yeah,
Listen to it.
it's good. It is very useful for anyone trying to decide between the two, because the only difference isn't just that step's very hard and the mat is hard but not as hard a step. There are other differences between the courses, which we did talk about in our in that episode, if anyone else is interested in that. And also the other thing about when we were saying in writing the personal statement, if someone wants to talk about how much they've been enjoying step questions, I think me and Ella would both agree that being specific on what kind of questions that you've been enjoying and why would be the way forward, rather than saying I've been really enjoying doing step questions, because that's all great. But I think in general with any personal statement, whatever subject, exemplifying your point is very good. Like being specific, showing why you're enjoying a certain thing with an example, just gives the person, the admissions interviewer, the admissions person that will be looking at a personal statement, gives them evidence of your point, um, which is useful when you're making an argument in general in life, rather than a point without any examples. So, not to patronize anyone, but that is sort of also the podcast, one big long well, it's not patronizing if you opted to join us.
Siam, your train of thought is just dwindling.
But yes, exemplifying your points in personal statements is the way forward. I did that quite a lot, and I imagine, Ella, did you exemplify your points a lot?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice. Should have said that.
Yes. Hey, cheers. Thanks for that. You could.
It's really early, guys. I'm sorry. We're usually better than this.
We're going to confess, yeah, it's very early. It is extremely early in the morning. Ella's a working woman in the summer, and we had to work around that, which is fine.
Feels like I'm but I'm not. Don't tell anyone.
I'm not salty about it at all. That we're up this early.
I'm sorry. I'm equally upset that I'm awake now, okay? I promise.
You didn't say that when you made the plan. Anyways, the maths personal statement. I can't think of anything else. Do you? Maths personal statements. I think that's everything. What universities did you apply for, Ella? If you remember, just to jig my memory of, is there any differences that people should be aware of if they're applying for other unis?
Yeah, I applied to Oxford, Imperial, Warwick, Edinburgh, Bristol. I do remember. Yeah, Edinburgh told me specifically they wanted to hear a lot about me and not that much about the subject. So they said like a third maths, 2/3 you. And my aim was Oxford, so I did not take that advice. I still got in. Edinburgh was a bit random that year in terms of who they let in. Some really qualified people who made it to Cambridge and things didn't get in, and I do not know. But yeah, there is different advice from different unis, specifically Scottish ones want to know about you as a person, because they're not heartless. Maybe you want to edit that out. I think you might want to.
I didn't hear what you said, so I don't think anyone else will. It's just an opinion, like everything else. I will keep in.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there is different advice from different unis, and you have to decide what your priority is. And taking the advice of one uni doesn't exclude you from another necessarily. So, bit of a difficult decision, but like I said, don't stress. Which is hypocritical advice coming from me. I stress a lot about many things, but in retrospect, I always realize it wasn't that important.
And ironically, both me and Ella have also done an episode on how do you deal with stress. So if you want to hear, how Ella,
Yeah, okay, I've gotten better with stress management. I specifically thought about whether I was qualified for that and decided it would be good because the people watching it will be like me. So
exactly. Yeah, so if anyone's applying for like St Andrews as well, to look that up, their personal statements, and I guess like the university websites for the course, they'll have advice on each university website for their maths course. I think one good thing could potentially, I'm not sure how much access prospective students have that aren't actually in the uni yet. They're going on different going on different university sites and looking at the maths course and looking at maybe what modules you will learn in your first year, so you know that the stuff shouldn't be too inaccessible, and if using that as like a potential, like, I don't know, contents page of things that you could look into reading and see if one of them sticks. If someone out there is entirely blank on what kind of reading that they would want to do, and doesn't mean you have to like read a book. If it says like, oh, you'd be doing linear algebra in your first term, and you're like, oh, I don't know what linear algebra is, and you do a little Google introduction to linear algebra, and then you get exposed to new ideas from a direct. And the good thing about that is, and if is that it's directly relevant to the course. So when the admissions tutor looks at it, they'll see not only is this person passionate about maths, they're passionate about relevant maths. When we give them the cheat sheet on this, they should enjoy it because they've clearly shown that they enjoyed it here. How much of that would you agree, Ella?
That's like rough advice for maths. I want to also say, if you like look it up and you're like, okay, I still have no idea what this is, that is completely fine. Just like I also came in, I thought I would enjoy pure maths because I enjoyed pure maths at school. It was a lie. Pure maths at school was not what pure maths is at uni. So it's okay also to not have an idea of what you like. Is something I would say. Like I did the D's and the linear algebra by complete accident.
Yeah, as you were saying, Ella. Yes. Yeah.
That was the one for me. Okay. Yeah, I would also say it's completely fine not to have an idea of what you like and like look it up and be like, okay, I still don't understand. They don't expect you to have an idea yet because maths uni is so different from at school. And like I was saying, I did D's in linear algebra by complete accident. Like my teacher had some textbooks on his shelf that I just was like, oh, can I borrow these? And then I did. So yeah, don't worry about it. Like now all I do is physics. Genuinely, I just choose my courses for next year. I'm doing so much fluids and applied partial differential equations, and I never thought that would be the route it would go. So yeah, good advice, but don't stress if it doesn't help you to do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Are you doing any quantum for next year?
No, actually not. I didn't pick quantum this time around. I'm doing mathematical modeling and biology. And the rest of it is like fluids, and then I'm doing one machine learning course, which I'm excited about.
Oh, nice. Sounds very fun. You're multi-talented in your biology and your machine learning, and then your fluids. That sounds very cool.
Well, like, you can't specify fully to just one thing at this point yet. See what happens.
Nice. Okay, and I think that is time for today. Thank you, Ella, for such an interesting conversation about maths personal statements, and I'm sure that will help so many viewers with their applications now that they'll be doing. Well, now I guess, July, August time. And thank you for the viewers for joining, whether you're listening to on your podcasting platform or YouTube or IGTV, Instagram. We'll see you guys soon. Hope you're all staying safe.